Morning, and welcome to Qigong Live Online this morning, this bright sunny day. It's one of those stunning blue side days today. It's as hot as. Well, it's all well, it's all about letting go. That's the whole thing. You see, it's not only letting go the physical tension in our body. It's not only letting go the physical tension, but it's letting go all the emotional tension as well. But then it's also letting go our belief structures as well, letting go what we think life's all about, and letting that go too, and having a clean slate to open the door of possibility there's something else. And it's one of the hardest things to do, because we formalize our idea of self by our mind, and what our mind's created is our life. Our mind's created a life. This is the life we have, and our mind's inside that, saying, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is my life, this is how I am, this is where I live, this is what I do, this is how I think. And I just want to encourage you to not you, but everybody else too that comes and watches this, to have space around that idea that that's the only thing, that there's another place, and to have an opening that there could be other things we just don't know yet. I saw somebody yesterday doing a presentation, and I thought it was really, really amazing that he actually said, here's a video of me before saying something. And then he said, and I wasn't right. I was incorrect what I was saying then, but at the time, that's all I knew. And now I've changed my opinion. And I thought it was magic. I was like, whoa, okay, that's a big piece of courage openly on air to say you were wrong. And he did it on two different occasions, two different videos, early videos he made, that he said it was incorrect. He said, now with my knowledge I have now, and he said, I think that's, the ability to be able to change our opinion and have new information coming forward. And he was talking to that about sometimes, you just learn new things, and always be open to change, because sometimes the way we think might necessarily be the truth, but it was at the time, that's all we knew. And he openly said that, and I'm not even taking the videos down, because I want you to be able to see the difference between that one and this one, to see where I was then and to see where I am now, and to show you that change is a good thing. And I thought it was really brave of him to do that, because a lot of people would just take the video down and not admit it. And I shouldn't say that, because a lot of people would probably admit it. I'm not saying that they all do it, but I was just fascinated by the fact that he did, and publicly, and he is a public figure. Theres lots of people watch his stuff. So yeah, it was a very good example of owning the fact that we can be wrong sometimes, and owning that and saying, hey, I've just learned something else, I didn't know that.
You had an open mind too.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and to have that inquisition, or not inquisition, to have an inquiry mind to the possibilities of something else, and being open to anything, not knowing. And I watch something, and I'm watching a series at the moment on TV, and I watch it, and there's bits of it that I would say my mind has an aversion to. They're like, I don't know, what about this, and I can see myself justifying my story, my existing story, and just sitting there with it and letting it be what it is, and just take it in. And if there's some of it true and some of it's not, it doesn't matter. But it's about allowing it to land, and being okay that I don't necessarily agree with it all, and just let it sit where it is, and not have judgment, and not write it off because of my story I have running in the background, and just say there could be a whole lot of truth. There might be a whole lot of truth. It could be a changing the whole way I have perception of something. But I just don't understand it yet. I just don't understand, because I have never been given that piece of information before. So it doesn't fit in with the information I already have. And I think that's really useful to have that. And I hear what you said, Steph, about that, being openness to that, and having and I say courage to let things go, or just hold new information and don't have any judgment. Just let it sit where it is, and it'll fit in where it's meant to fit in time. I think it's a great practice. He inspired me, so if I think of something that I've said that wasn't correct, I actually did one the other day, and I've already apologised for it. Yeah, it's to be able to, I think there's a true courage in that, and a true strength, and knowing that we're not perfect and we make mistakes, and being okay with that, and being able to say, hey, I was wrong. I really thought I was really firm that that was the right answer, and it wasn't. And having that ability just to change the way you see things, I think it's a great thing. Flexible. I call flexibility. That's what we're trying to do. We're going to do some flexibility today. Well, we're going to talk about a subject that I've had a couple people ask me about, so we're going to talk about it today, and I'll do some exercise for that. So just a couple of announcements for a couple of things that are going on at the moment. So I'm a bit excited about a few things at the moment, so it's very cool. And that next year we went and booked the dates for the first live 200-hour Qigong teachers training, the live one here in Bali. We booked it for next year, for July next year. So it's very exciting. And then we also booked a live course here in Bali in January. And I think it starts the 5th of January for 4 days. And we've also done one for September as well. I'm doing Long Life in September as well here. So I'm doing 3 live ones now coming up. So that's quite exciting change. And of course we've got the big one that's happening in about 3 weeks' time, the level 2, which is a very cool course. But that's coming up as well. So, and this weekend for everybody else, we've got if you've done the level 2 and you're watching this, you can, the monastery class. The monastery class is on this weekend, on Saturday. I'm pretty sure it's Saturday. So there's a lot going on at the moment. It's busy. Busy is the understatement with this big course coming up at the moment. So we're very busy with that, which is very cool. But it's great to get back to doing live. I was standing in the Shala. So where we did our first live 200 hours here in 2019. I was standing in the Shala. It's a huge, big Shala. It's a beautiful place, surrounded by jungle and bamboo and no people. It's a huge, big place, and it's just such a great space. And I was standing in there, and I had flashbacks of the last time we were there, which was like 3 years ago. And it was just so cool to be sitting in that space again and just remember the energy that was in that room at the time which we created during the course. It's 23 days long, the course is 20. So and a live one's you always do things differently in a live one than an online one, because it's a totally different practice. Yeah, they don't resemble each other. It's like a totally different thing. But so there you go. July next year. But I was quite happy to do a couple of live courses here too before that happens as well. So that's quite cool as well. Quite excited. Very excited. I'm just lucky that the ladies walking past down the road laughing away. It was very cool. I'm not sure if you heard that. There's a couple of Balinese ladies walking past. They work down the road or down our alleyway, and they were cracking up laughing. It was very cool. There's something about the happiness or people laughing. There's something, it's contagious. Like the negative is contagious, but the positive is really contagious as well. And when you see somebody laugh like that, it just makes you smile, or somebody smiles and makes you smile. That sort of reaction thing, I think it's very cool.
I've forgotten the name for it, Pete, but has the celebrations finished the
Yeah,
ceremony in Bali?
yes, it has. Yeah, was
Yep.
going. It was last week. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was 2 days. They have 2 days where they're on holiday, so like their Christmas or New Year. It's more like their New Year actually. It's not their Christmas. It's their New Year, and they have it every. They interesting. They sometimes have it twice a year. So
It's like every 210 days.
yeah, 210 or 230, something like that. I can't remember exactly the amount, but every 200 something they haven't. And I think it's on the equinox. I'm not sure. 210, it can't be because it'll be exactly halfway. Yeah, whatever it is. But so sometimes we only get one this year because it's in the middle of the year. But sometimes if it's in January, you'll get another one in the end of the year. So they get two New Year's holidays a year, which is great. So sometimes it falls on a double. So yeah, they have a couple of days celebration. Everybody's celebrating. Very cool. It's exciting. Oops, 1, 2, 3, 4. My thing gone off. 1, 2, 3. My sound's gone off, hasn't it? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, there it is. Thank you. I thought it had just gone off there for a while. Got a blackout. Anyway, so today, what we're doing today. Yeah, well, some people have been asking me about it, so I'm going to talk about it. And it's called the Qua. Now, it's quite commonly used in. It's a relatively new terminology. It's not widely used in Tai Chi, but it is part of Tai Chi. It's definitely part of Tai Chi. And there is it's in Qigong as well. It's quite a finer adjustment in our body. So it's not the easiest thing to do, but we'll talk about it today. We'll do some exercise for you. Because I've had a couple of people ask me recently about it. So we'll do some work on it today, and I'll show you where it is. And then we'll talk about the purpose of it and how we can open it, which is always a good thing. In Steph, it's all about letting go. It's always about letting go. Letting go everything. That's letting go physical too. You see, you have to let go of the physical. So you get the energy to move your body, get the energy to move your arm. You have to let go of the muscles, or let go your mind thinking it has to use your muscles to do it. Whatever we usually are taught, pretty much the answer is usually the opposite. Most of it's been inverted. Oh, if you haven't seen it too, there's a documentary floating around about the flat earth. You've got to watch it. It's really interesting. It's a great concept. Flat earth. I love that people come up with concepts of that, because as soon as I see that, we were talking before, Steph, about, ideas that we have things, this is the way it is, and this is it because of this and this proves it's a fact. Well, when you watch that documentary, it challenges your belief, and instead of just seeing that and comparing the things you know against it, and keep putting things you know against to try and disprove it, just watch it and just absorb the information and then put it beside your one. Don't override your one with the other side of it. I'm not saying it's correct. I'm just saying it's a great example of letting information be information. Just do it without trying to discredit it all the way through the documentary because of what you already know or what we think you know. So it's a great example of just letting it be what it is and just watch it for what it is and just absorb the information. Well, you'll catch yourself. Oh yeah, but what about? You'll catch yourself doing that. It's fascinating. Well, I only say that because I was doing that. So I watched myself justifying my view by what I thought before and trying to disprove it in my mind. It's bizarre how clever our mind is, not wanting to have any new information that might be possibly true or not true, but just not wanting to accept it. I wonder how much we do this on everything else we do in our life as well. Probably lots. Without even knowing we're doing it. You're missing Mark today. That's Mark, I know you're going to watch this. I'm missing you. Very cool. And these. I watched another one that was interesting too. Yes, God, this one's come to me as well. I watched another one about time and that timing our watch keeps, and the time that the sun does its orbit of the planet, if that's what happens, and it varies. It's not the same. It's not based on your clock. The sun does erratic during the whole year. The sun doesn't do exact 24-hour circulations of the sun, of the planet. It doesn't do it. And they've marked it because they've marked where the sun is in certain places, and then they marked it for every day of the year. And it makes this funny figure. It moves. It's not in the same place. Well, we know it moves. I'm not saying it doesn't move. I'm just saying that the time it takes from the sun to get round there to round here, it's 24 hours. They say it's 24 hours. But if it was as a benchmark, then the next one's 23.59 and the other one's 23.50, and then it's 24 point something. So it actually changed, but it's random. It's not random, there's a pattern to it, but it's not. You couldn't run the clock on your hand and the sun are different. They don't keep the same time, which I thought was fascinating. It varies. The sun keeps changing. It just has its elliptical thing that it does. It changes every day. Fascinating. It's never the same. So they used to, in the old days, they used to have sundials, and they used to use the sundials, and they'd set their watch off the sundial, and the following day they'd come along and it was different. So they had to keep changing the watch every day because the sun would change every day. And I don't mean the sun where it rises in the sky, because we know it changes through the season. It's just where the sun is in that position during the day when it's falling on the sundial. It didn't have anything to do with how high it was. It was just where it was in the sky, and it was feeding the clock every day. It was amazing. See these things you learn when you're old and you didn't even know they existed. I love that. Cool. So what I didn't do was I squat down, so I need to do that today. So we're working with our hips today. The quads to do with our hips. All part of our hips anyway. Very cool. Bow. Gone. Yeah, so today we're going to talk about the Qua. Now the Qua, as I say, there's lots of information about the Qua, so I'll just give you some more information about it to understanding the principle of it. And as I say, I've had a couple of people ask me about this. So the Qua it's actually a space. It's not actually a thing. If you feel the top of your hip bones, and they have a flare that sticks out the side, and it comes down through here, and you can put your fingers on it if you're going down your hips, because you're going to need to do this today. Find it, the bones that's sticking out right there, and it's a crest. The crest comes forward, and it goes around the back like a flap. This is the bone, your pelvis. There's a bone that sits right at the front. Yep. Now underneath the side of that, so it comes around like a flare, and underneath that, it's flared underneath it, so our hip joint sticks underneath. So it's like it flared around this way, and the hip joint sticks underneath, and it comes around the top, like a gap between the hip joint and the flare of your pelvis. And so it's sitting there like that, and the hip joint's stuck into there. Yep. So it's like flared guards on a car that have the big guards around the wheels. It's like it's a guard over the top of the hip joint. Yep. There you go. So the front part we want to find in our body, so you can put your fingers on it, and if it takes you a while, you just go down until you find the bone that's sticking forward, and it's just there. And I can feel one there. Yep. So that's the front part of the anterior part of the pelvis sitting here. And you want the very highest point, it'll be the highest point forward. So between there and the hip joint itself, at the top of the femur, as the femur comes up, it's got the femur bone, and they've got a little bar across, and then it's got the ball on the femur. This side I'm talking about. The other one looks like that. Has the ball, has a little bar, and then it goes into the femur itself, which is very big, the biggest bone in our body. Yeah, it sits like that. And the top of the spur of that bone before it goes, it's not the hip bone itself, but the spur, from there to the flat to our flaring, that part from there to there is the qua, both sides. And then you'll hear people talk about, they talk about your inguinal area, this area here, where that gap is. Well, it's basically, that's where the gap is. It's between, because you'll feel the hip bone, straight under the hip bone, is the gap. And right under there is where your hip joint, where your femur joint is, the top of your femur joint. So that's where, when you put like that inguinal area, that's pretty well where the gap is. Yeah, so this is the gap. So this is the inguinal gap. And so the gap between your top of your femur and the flare of your pelvis. And so that gap, there's nothing in there besides sinews and tendons. There's lots of things hanging on, gripping your body to your femur so your legs don't fall off, of course. And there's lots of ligaments and tendons holding them in place. Well, that gap between it is the qua. And there's an upper qua, which is right at the very top of and there's a lower qua, and there's a middle qua. So our idea is to have as much space in the energy of the gap between the top of the femur and the pelvis, as much space as you can in here to have space, because you don't want it all converging on itself, because then it becomes difficult, and then you have difficult walking, because now the flanges in the road of the hip joint turning and everything's sort of touching each other. Not that it can touch, or it can, but not generally. All it does is it narrows. But what we want to do is we want to have space, and the bigger the space is, the more the energy can fill that area. And that area is important. It's important in Tai Chi, and it's important in Qigong as well. So we'll do a couple of exercises to help exercise that. Actually, I just thought of another one just then. I'm going to go and get a chair, because there's lots of ways we can do this. For this, not everybody can do it standing on one leg. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get the top of the femur joint, like our femur joint, and we want to get it nice and loose. Well, not the bone loose, but the joint nice and loose. So that's pretty hard to do with my arms. We want to have the femur so it's flopping around at the bottom of your hip joint, and then relax all the sinews and just let the leg hang down. Yeah, hang down from the socket and not have it all tensed up and stuck up. Yeah, so we're going to do that. So there's lots of exercise you can do that. A chair, cool. So we can do it with one-legged. So you stand on one leg, and you move your leg backwards and forwards. Yeah, and just kick it backwards and forward. And the idea of that is, when you do it, or you can put your hand on the chair, and what you're doing is trying to relax. You have to hold your toe up a little bit, otherwise you'll drag across the ground. And it's trying to let the whole hip joint relax and just let it hang. Yeah. And you move your hip. If you move your hip backwards and forwards, then your leg can just move by itself. So you're not actually using the muscles and tendons in the leg to do it. You're just using the momentum of your hip turning. The other hip, this is the hip I'm standing on. I'm turning that one, and this leg's turning by itself. Yeah. And just the idea of that. Yep. And you can do it with one leg, and you just do the hands thing and walk with the hands, yeah, like that. Cool. And we swap sides. We do the same thing. I'll just go over that way a bit. So we can just do it one-legged, yeah? And all I'm doing in my mind, I'm thinking about the hip joint in my mind, and I'm thinking about relaxing my hip joint. And of course we can do it with one leg, and then moving your hip backwards and forwards. Oop. I felt my hip joint click then. But there's a reason for that. There's a different reason. Yeah, so it's the fact that it just relaxed. The first one, nothing happened, then I relaxed, and then went click, and then it clicked. Very cool. So this is one of the exercises you can do with it, yeah? Just to get it open. Let's go back a bit close. Yep. Very cool. So another exercise. You get it going across the front. Now you can do the same thing in one leg. You can do this in one leg. Yeah. And just flop the leg, or you can hang on to it and just do one leg. You can do it across like that, which is the next one. As I say, you might find not many people can stand on one leg and wave their leg around. It's not easy to do. So you can do it that. As I say, you can do just leg front and forward and backwards first. And then you can do the cross way. We can just do it cross like that. And just use your hip, use the other hip you're standing on to waggle your foot. Basically you're wagging your foot because of your hip. Cool. Now if I do that, I have to stand up a bit further so I don't whack the chair. I'll stand up this way. There you go. And I'm using the hip I'm standing on. I'm moving this hip round about like that. Yeah, and that movement is moving my hip. So then the hip can relax. I'm not having to use the ligaments and tendons in the hip. We're trying to get it to relax. There's no point standing on the same one. Yep, other side. Done that one, we go across the front. Same thing, move this hip, waggle that hip backwards and forward. There you go, feels great. And one hip could be more free than the other. That's quite not uncommon, that you'll have tension in one of them and not in the other, or you could have had injury in one and not in the other. There'll be lots of different reasons why that happens. And go forward and to the side. Yep. Very good exercise. So backwards and forwards. There you go. See, they feel different already. Just that simple, easy stretches. Yeah. Now there's another one you can do, and that's when it comes forward. I'll swap the chairs again. I don't know why I just didn't do that side, but then why I changed the chair because I want to do. Where you can do it one leg, where you come forward and you bring the knee up, drop the knee down. You can do that one. And when you drop it down, you feel it pulling down inside the socket. So it's stretching the socket. Stretching the socket. Well, not stretching the socket as such. It's stretching all the ligaments and tendons that are hanging on to the top of the femur and around the ball joint, and you're stretching them all down. But you're not actually stretching the socket joint itself. There's things to stop that happening inside our body. So go forward and down. Yep. Do it on one. I'm trying to do it without. I'm standing on a rock. Hang on. It's not easy standing on an unflat surface. There you go. Do it like that. You can do it hanging on. So you just let it flop down, bring it up, knee string drop, knee string drop, knee string drop. Yep, there you go. Great exercise. And that opens up the qua. And you want that, as I say, do it this way. Knee comes up, down. Knee comes up, down. Keep going forward as I'm walking forward. Knee comes up, down. There you go. Down. And you can hang on to it. Comes up, let it go. And you can feel the joint being, just the whole ligaments going down. Just relax. 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 Cool. Yeah, that's exercise for it anyway. I'll leave the chair then. Who knows if I need it again. So that's the joints. So we've done the joints. So we let now the joints got this idea that both the hip joints, same thing like the shoulders. Now they're moving like this, and I've got one of them. I'm just working out how to do that. And I've done that one. It's very hard to do two at the same time, obvious reasons. It's my humour for the day. But we could do both arms, but you can't do both legs. Well, you could actually if you had two chairs. That's not true. You could do it if you had two chairs. Or if you're hanging, you can just flop them backwards and forwards as well. So that's the idea. So now we've got that part. Now we want to do is lift the pelvis up, which is a different thing again. So you'll hear me lots of the time spend a lot of time talking about tucking your pelvis. This is the first part of it. But the second part, of course, is after you tuck it, you have to relax. But the tucking the pelvis, I'm always quite often talking about the perineum, and we talk about moving the hips forward and then tucking them underneath. And that idea of the pelvic tuck. So you tuck your bum forward and then relax. Remember, when you do the tuck, most important part of it is to relax afterwards. Because if you don't, otherwise you're just holding up all the tension. It comes forward, you tuck your pelvis forward and then relax. Yeah. Now, We're just going to add a little bit more pieces to that idea. And that's the basic understanding of how to release your pelvis, because you want your back straight. And because we're standing on the balls of our feet, and we have our back straight, and then we have the idea of our legs hanging down, and we tuck our pelvis, so we tuck our sacrum underneath, which straightens up the vertebrae, so the energy travels through the dumai better, around the back channel. And of course it travels down up and down the renmai as well. But the idea of tucking your pelvis, tucks it underneath, brings the energy in alignment, and then it moves. But when we tuck it, we need to relax afterwards. Don't hold tension in it, because the whole idea is to have no tension. So no matter what movement we do, we don't even do forward and backwards, we always have to relax afterwards, yeah? Because you don't want to carry the tension. The tension idea of head string stretch, you stretch your head string up, and then you relax. You don't stretch it up and then hold it stiff like that. You lift it up, you feel all your vertebrae lifting, and then you relax them all. But you don't slump back down again. You just pull them all up, stretch them all, and then leave them expanded, and then just relax with them expanded. So now you feel tall, but they're relaxed. It's not tall and stiff. Yeah, this is the same thing that's happening with the kwa. So we've done the idea of hanging down. So we go back to the kwa. Now we want to learn how to lift it up. Now there's an easy way of doing this. There's a couple of different ways of doing this, but there's an easy way of so you can actually physically feel it. So put your fingers on the front, the anterior point there. Right? So I found it on my hips. That's the part that's the biggest part of your bones that's sticking forward. Your hip joint. You can feel it right there, and there it feels. Put my finger on that. Good. Now, if I normally bend over, if we just bend over, just keep your fingers there and bend forward, yeah? And as you bend forward, you'll feel it going backwards, yeah? It goes straight backwards, yeah? It goes backwards, and it can go down, but it normally just goes back, and your sit bones stick out the back, which is the back of the pelvis, and then they stick at the back, and these ones just go straight down and back. Cool? And you bend over. Good, so we're going to do something different with that. When we bend down, we want to think of these lifting up. So you'll see what I mean when you do this yourself. Put your fingers on the bones. Now sit down. As you sit down, I want you to feel like they're lifting up. The two front parts are lifting up as you bend over. Yeah, that's it. Lift them up. Lift them up. Keep lifting them up. Lift them up. Lift them up. And going down. Good. And then coming back up again. And then get there, and then you get standing, and then lift them back up again. Good. Now it's going to be millimeters of movement. There's not going to be this huge shift inside the body. But you notice what happened the first time when we went down. That's why I didn't cue it, so you didn't know what I was doing. When you go down, you can feel as it goes down, you can feel the bone just sinks down slightly and goes backwards. But when you do this one, you go up and you feel it, oh, okay, and it's almost like it's rotating the other way. It's rotating the other way as you're going down, and it's rotating upwards, and it comes down. And of course, what's happening when it does that, as it rotates and you're pulling it up, it's lengthening the gap between the top of the bone and your hip. And so the kwa's getting bigger. You're opening up the kwa joint, or the kwa gap, it's the space, by doing that, by lifting it up when you do that. So when we tuck our pelvis, do that again a couple of times just so you can feel it. Put your fingers on the bone and lift these up in your mind, get them to rise, and you'll notice the difference. They feel like they're going up in the air. Think in your mind, rise, and even when you go right down, they're still rising, yeah? And they come back forward again, and as you come forward, keep them rising as you come forward as well. They keep rising. Right, now when you stand up there, you'll feel taller. Don't ask me why that happens, but you do. Yeah, good, so leave them there. Now, with them where they are now, tuck your pelvis forward. Good, and then relax your pelvis, and let your gluteus move. That's it, good. Good, feel that? So we try that again. So go with fingers on the bone, moving forward, and as you're moving forward, think of them lifting, both of them are lifting up. Go down, lift them up. It's a subtle movement inside the body, lifting them up, and you can feel the gap between them and the top of your femur. There you go. Good. And then stand up, lift them up as you stand up, so they keep going up. They still feel like they're rising in your body. Get to the top. Good. Now leave them where they are. Now just take one finger off. Leave one finger on so you can feel if it moves or not. Now remember it's high. Think if you like, raise them up a bit higher. Good. Now tuck your pelvis forward. Tuck your sacrum forward. And you'll feel this moving forward. It'll move forward when you do that. Move slightly forward. Good. And then relax your sacrum. Good. Now the key of this, don't drop this one. When you relax your sacrum and your sacrum drops down, don't let this bone go down too. Leave this bone high and tuck your sacrum underneath, and then let it sink down, but leave the bone high. And then it pulls the gap, makes the gap bigger. Your qua bigger on both sides. It's opening the qua gap. Yep, very cool. I'll try that again. Put your fingers on the bone. Bend down. Make them rise. Feel them like they're going up in the air. That's it. Good. Up, 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 up. Keep going up. Now when you stand up, let them keep coming up. Feel them rising again. Still rising, still rising, still rising, still rising. Good. Feel them rising. Good. Now take one finger and try the other finger. Leave that one on your hip joint, the top of your pelvis. Good. Now put your hand on your sacrum. Tuck your sacrum forward. Now make sure this doesn't go down. Make sure it stays where it is. Tuck your sacrum. Good. And then relax your sacrum. I feel the sacrum going down, but this is not going down. Good. Now that's the feeling. Whatever that feels right now is correct. Now to start off with, of course, the gap's not going to grow, but the more you do this exercise with understanding, so when you take your sacrum and you relax, it pulls the sacrum down, but it pulls all of the legs down, all the weight comes down in your legs, but your two pelvic points, the forward part, the anterior position of your pelvis doesn't move, it stays where it is, and everything else drops below it. Everything else falls down below it. Cool. That's the feeling. Good. Another exercise for that. So our sacrum is normally fixed. Our sacrum comes down into our lower spine under L4, L5, and L5 it's connected to the sacrum. That's the little diamond shape. It's not diamond, it's like a triangle shape bone in the back of your spine. And your little tailbone hangs off the bottom, and you have a couple of little vertebrae at the bottom of it. And it has a lot of holes in it, so you know the one I'm talking about. So that one. So normally that is where it's stuck inside the back end of your pelvis, where the pelvis comes around the front with the flares and comes around the back, and it sits in the middle. Where it is, usually that doesn't move. It's usually locked between the two sides. That one's unlocked on that side, and it's locked on that side, and it doesn't move, and it's static like that, and it moves slightly when you bend over and bend forward, but doesn't generally move. The only time that it's actually released, in theory, the only time it's released is for when a woman's giving birth to a child, it actually opens. Because otherwise, if it doesn't open, you can't open your sacrum to let the baby out, because the baby out comes out between your pelvis. So if you can't open that part of it, you never get the baby out. So it actually opens, it actually separates, and the sacrum's actually moving. It moves backwards and forwards, it becomes flexible, so it can open, so the baby can come out, which is very cool. And then after that, it goes back to where it was. But in Tai Chi and Qigong, what happens is, over time, doing all these exercises, your sacrum actually moves. You can have a flexible sacrum, which is a weird feeling. I do it in class with people, get them to feel my sacrum, and I can move my sacrum backwards and forwards, or backwards and forwards, side to side. It doesn't matter, but I can go moving backwards and forwards. It's actually not locked. It's actually free to move, and I can move it forward and backwards. It's a weird feeling. I can move my tailbone, I can wag my tail. But that's only come from the practice of just the movement of the hips, the movement of the sacrum, and all that, letting all the energy move around so there's no blockages there. Yeah. So there's no trick to this. I'm not fantastic about this. It's just practice. That's all it is. And I've just learned how to do it. So one of the exercises you can do is you hand your hand on your hips and you push your pelvis forward and you push it back. Now, there's two ways of doing this. You could do it the other way. We'll do it. This is a third way of doing it. Just thought another one. So we stand on the side and we have your hands on your back like that. And you're going to push it forward and come back. Push it forward and come back. Like that. Now, when you want to do this, the first one I'm going to get you to do is to clench your muscles, your gluteus maximus, your bum muscles. And as you clench them, come forward. So you're bringing your hip, your genitals forward, and you're clenching the muscles at the back, and clench your muscles and bring it forward, and then relax. Clench it forward, relax. So I'm clenching my bum muscles, and I'm poking my pelvis forward, and I'm tucking my sacrum at the same time, but I'm using my muscles to tuck it. I'm squeezing my and pushing it forward. Push it forward. Good, that's it. Push forward, and then relax. Push forward, and then relax. Put your hand on your sacrum. You can feel it. Push forward, and relax. And you can feel your sacrum moving. Yeah? It might not move a lot, but it will move. Go and back. So you're putting your genitals forward and tucking your spine. And so we're doing this muscularly wise. We're using ligaments and tendons to do this, and muscle to do that, and then relax. Do that, and relax. Do that, and relax. The most important part, of course, is the relax that you're doing in the middle of it. Yeah, not anything else. It's the relax piece that's important. Pull it forward and relax. Pull it forward and relax. Good. The next one is to do it without squeezing your bum muscles. Yeah. So that's the same principle. Now you know what it feels like. Is to move it forward and relax, but don't squeeze your bum. Have your bum nice and soft. Squeeze it forward and then relax. Squeeze it forward and then relax. Now we're just moving our tailbone. We're not using our muscles. I only do the muscle ones because most people, if you tell them to tuck their pelvis, they'll use their muscles to do that because they don't know how not to. And if you're still noticing you're doing it and you still feel your muscles are engaging, then just focus on having soft bum muscles and just moving forward, relax. Moving forward, relax. Moving forward. And you can just do this a number of times. Same thing with the genitals. You're still bringing your pelvis forward. You're pushing your pelvis forward. Push it forward. And you're pulling your sacrum in. You pull your sacrum in, but don't use your muscles. Yeah, just use the pelvis itself. Pelvis forward. Now we've got this oscillation going on. We're going back and you're tucking it and going forward, but you're not using your muscles to do that. Well, you're not using your bum muscles to do it. You're still using some ligaments to do it, but you're not using your bum muscle. Good. Now try and relax as much as you can doing that. Move forward, relax. Relax, go forward. Relax, go back. Relax, go forward. Relax, go back. Now have the idea of your hip joints, the top of them don't move. They stay here as it tucks underneath and comes back. So these are staying forward and going back. Yep, go forward, going back. Go forward, relax, go back. And then relax, go forward. And so as you relax, as the pelvis is tilting forward, relax and feel the whole pelvis and everything sitting down. Like sitting down on a chair. I think some people describe it as like sitting down on a chair. When you lower itself down and sitting on the windowsill. I heard somebody the other day call it sitting down on a windowsill. And you relax on the windowsill and just sit on the windowsill. But you're tucking it underneath and relax. Cool. There you go. So I want us to practice this. There's a bit more to this, so we didn't quite get through all of it. So we're going to have to do a bit more on Thursday as well. And we'll show you exercises inside that, how you can keep moving the gap and how you relax it. So we've done the exercises for your legs, for your femur, to let the femur relax. We've done exercises to pull the top of the pelvis up, to anchor our pelvis so our pelvis doesn't sink. If our pelvis goes down, everything goes down at one. We don't want to do that. We want to leave the pelvis here and sink the bottom half down. And we'll do exercises with how to do that. We've done movement of the pelvis, so we've got everything going now. So practice all of those. Practice the leg movements. Practice all the leg movements. Do that. Practice the idea of pulling it up when you go down. Pulling up the top of your pelvis makes it go up instead of down. You need to bend forward and coming back and then make it rise. And we had the idea of now I've got the pelvis tuck where the pelvis is going forward and then relax. So it goes forward underneath, relax. Goes underneath, relax. Comes forward, relax. And have that idea of what that feels like. And then have the muscles relaxed, so then it goes forward, relaxed, and then you relax again. It's already relaxed. As it moves forward, it's already relaxed. And as it goes forward, you can feel it pulling down. And we'll do some exercise and say we'll go a little bit further. There's a couple more things to add to this. It's an interesting concept. So this is creating the gap, creating the relaxation in the gap, and increasing the gap of the quad. And so once the quad is open, the movement inside your pelvis is what's so important in Tai Chi as well, because there's lots of pelvic movements in Tai Chi, and because it's a martial art, there's lots of things happening, and we should do another exercise about how you can loosen up this as well. There you go. It'll keep us busy. Practice that, and as I say, we'll add more to it on Thursday. We'll go back into it again. We'll do some more understanding of the quad and how important it is to have it relaxed and have it open. Yep. Cheers. Oh, look at the heat. It's stonking hot. Beautiful day. Have a beautiful day, everybody, and we'll see you all on Thursday. We'll do the second part of that. And Steph, as you said at the start of the class, that's all you got to do is let go. If only that was that easy. Oh, no, it's not. God, and I'm a bloke too, so sometimes us men are quite rigid with our thoughts. I'm not saying all men are, but I'm saying it's definitely a facts and figures man thing where we have facts and figures and this is the way it is. It's not easy. It's not easy to when we say, well, we've worked out what it is and we're quite comfortable with that answer, and then somebody comes and challenges your answer. Whew. But I think that's what gives that opens it up, as you said before. It gives you the opening to possibility, and I think that's such an important thing. You never not learn something new for the day. Hopefully, if you've never done the Kwai exercise before, there's something totally new and you've never done it before in your whole life. Or if you might have, it might be variations to it anyway. I'm not sure. But hey, something new. Roll back on your thumbs. Cool. Bring towards your heart and down. Very cool. And have a beautiful day. And we'll see you all. Have your relaxed quiet for the rest of the day.